Hey there, David McElfresh here, and excited today to talk about PMI, or private and mortgage insurance, and specifically a little tool or tactic that I use with a lot of my clients to try to accelerate the removal of PMI from your loan and from your monthly payments. So for those of you that aren't familiar, PMI is something that gets added to a loan when the borrower or the homeowner comes in and they put less than 20% down on their loan. It's very, very common, especially in expensive markets all throughout the Front Range, Colorado, Denver, particularly, where you've got really, really expensive homes and people come in and just getting up to 20% down is a little bit more difficult. So often people will come in with 3, 5, 10% down on their loan. And in those situations, the lender says, this is a little bit more risky. And so we're going to ask you, the home buyer, to pay private mortgage insurance. And that's a monthly fee that you end up paying for a good duration of the loan and that kind of stuff. So the cool thing is we've got a little tool or a trick to get that removed and get you off and get a little bit more money in your pocket and that kind of thing. So let's go ahead and talk about that, and we'll dive into things here. So specifically speaking, let's talk about a situation where we're coming in, and this is super, super common. Let's say there's a home that's $500,000 and the buyer is bringing $50,000 or 10% down, okay? And so in that situation, the loan value would be $450,000. Super, super common situation we see all the time here in Denver. In this situation, the lender would say, you have to pay private mortgage insurance until your loan value is closer to or right at the point of 20%. Now, there's some nuances and variables here. Some lenders want you to get to 22, but 20% is generally the magic number. And so you can see right here, it would basically be getting that all the way down to 400,000. So 400 divided by 500,000 would put you at that 80% loan value or 20% equity, right? That's kind of what we're looking for, is 20% equity or more, or 80% loan or less than 80%. So to pay off $50,000 on that loan, typically the way that loans are amortized nowadays, it's going to take about 7 to 8 years. Okay, that's a long time. And so our goal is, how do we speed that up? How do we remove that? And so here's a pretty cool trick that I use with some of my clients, and I'll share it with you guys, is that let's assume we're looking at a typical year over the history of the real estate market. And by that, I mean, we're thinking about what is the Denver market appreciating at on a regular basis. Historically, 5% has been a pretty accurate number to base things off of. A few years have been a little bit lower. Recently, we've been crazy, 14, 15, 16%. We're going to be a little bit more conservative and just say, okay, what's the average? So we're going to assume 5% appreciation per year, okay? And that's going to help us with our pricing, specifically our value. And that's where we're going to get a little bit of this hack here. The next thing that we're going to look at here is we're going to see what is the value going to be at the end of year 2. So let's just go ahead and pull up our calculator and say, okay, we buy the home at $500,000, and at the end of year 1, it's going to appreciate by 5%. So times 1.05. At the end of year 1, the value of the home is $525,000. So let's do the exact same thing. Say, okay, at the end of year 2, what is that value going to be if it goes up? And it's going to be right around $551,000. So very rough math, but let's just kind of go with that as a general guideline. Now, the cool thing is that during this time, you've been paying into the loan, and this number's been reducing a little bit, little by little. So at the end of year 2, based on a typical 30-year loan, the loan value has now gone down to about $435,000. So not drastically a ton, but $15,000, which is certainly meaningful. And this is where things get really interesting, is now this delta, this difference between the value of the home and the loan value is changed and gotten quite a bit bigger. So now we can go back to our calculator and start to see if we're going to reach that 80% threshold for the loan value. So we're going to go back in and say, all right, $435,000 remaining on the loan divided by the new updated property value of $551,000, and voila, we're at 78 or 79% of a loan to value ratio, which is pretty awesome. That is the goal. That's the magic number of getting past the 80% and lower. And so in this situation, you and I would get together. I would run some quick comps that support this price and this value. We would shoot them off to your lender and request that the PMI be removed. And the really, really cool, fun, exciting piece about this for me is that typically we've got 7 to 8 years of payments of PMI that you would be making, and we just chopped off 5 or 6 of those years because we used this little hack, sent the information off to your lender, and removed it for you. So pretty cool. Let me know if you have any questions, thoughts, ideas, all that kind of good stuff. And otherwise, we'll chat with you soon. Cheers.